listed on the slide. So, ventral-posterior medial, VPM, trigeminal thalamic tract, somatosensory cortex, and taste cortex. So, once again, we're getting information from that trigeminal nerve area. Relays cranial nerve input to the cortex, taste input to the cortex. Bang. We think, you know, we've all learned the cranial nerves, and we think about them very discreetly. But the reality is, when they're bringing in information, that information has to be interpreted somewhere. It's so nice for this textbook and all other textbooks to isolate nerves, isolate nuclei. And that's not reality. The reality is, for learning them, isolating them is critical. However, the reality is, signals get into you, and it's not like the signal goes from, you know, my eyeball to my optic cortex, whatever. No, it bounces all over the place. It's interpreted, and you respond to it. So this is what's going on here. So the lateral geniculate, information from the retina. Oh, how's the information get from the retina here? What nerve? Optic nerve, bang. The outputs from the lateral geniculate go to the primary visual cortex. So we have visual input coming through the thalamus. Are you seeing how important the thalamus is? So everything goes through the thalamus. We're going to look at the blood supply to the thalamus in the near future. And you have to understand that as well. Because you screw up the blood supply to the thalamus, what's going to happen? Cells are going to be deoxygenated. Not good. The inferior colliculus, medial geniculate, primary auditory cortex. Oh, this information is coming in via what cranial nerve? Auditory cortex. Vestibulocochlear nerve, okay? Comes in, primary auditory relays to the cortex for interpretation. Ventrolateral, okay? Pars oralis, pars caudalis. Don't even ask me where those names came from. I've forgotten those a long time ago. Cerebellar nuclei and substantia nigra. These are both coming in, and they're interacting in here, and their signals are then going out to the motor cortex and the premotor cortex. It's not like substantia nigra signals go to the premotor and the cerebellar go to the motor. The two of these come in, and then their signals go out. You need signals from both of those to have smooth, good movement and motion. Basal ganglia and cerebellar inputs to the cortex. Ventral anterior. Okay? Substantia nigra, cerebellar. This is going out to many areas of the frontal lobe. Frontal lobe is crazy and wild. Frontal lobe, you have a lot of motor function that has to be correlated with behavior, has to be correlated with vision, it has to be correlated with a lot of other inputs. Pulvinar, superior colliculus. Parietal temporal occipital areas. Well, parietal temporal. visual behavior orientation. That's crazy. That's tying together how you are going to, and it's not always, when we think of orienting, we think of moving towards, we think of turning to, there's a lot going on there. How do I tie together these visual inputs with other areas of the brain? Once again, through the pulvinar. Comes in, it's being, that signal is going to pass through here, go out there. Medial dorsal group. Inputs, amygdala, the limbic basal ganglia. Pretty much you might think of that as a subthalamic nucleus. The olfactory cortex. Olfactory cortex. Oh, that's limbic. Amygdala, that's limbic. This is a big limbic system issue. Outputs are going to the frontal cortex. Now remember, your frontal cortex has your executive management, your high order thinking, a lot going on. This is basic limbic pathways. Anterior nucleus root, the mammillary body, hippocampal formation, the fornix. Okay? So there's a lot going on in here. Outputs from here go to the cingulate gyrus. By now, you've got to remember the cingulate gyrus. I don't know, I've said several times how critical that one is. That's a major player in the limbic system that ties together a lot of limbic function, so please be aware of this. Reticular nucleus. Cerebral cortex. Sorry, I was trying to emphasize that and didn't do a very good job. Signals come from all over cortex to the reticular formation. From the reticular formation, signals go to all over the thalamus. It regulates the thalamus. In many respects, this is a feedback loop. Signals went from the thalamus to the cortex. And a lot of times, when I was first, I tend to, on occasion, I used to always capitalize questions on exams. And I had a student once ask me, "Kel, why are you shouting at us?" And I had to sit back and think about it for a moment, because I didn't grow up with messaging, and realize, oh yeah, when you're texting, when you're Facebook, when you're doing something like that, and it's in caps, you're shouting. But the signals coming out of the thalamus to the brain are in capital letters. The thalamus is shouting at the cortex, "Do something! Don't just sit there!" And the signals come back from the cortex to the reticular formation that say, "Would you tone that down a little bit? We don't need this message to be all in capital letters." Or it says, "What the hell do you mean? Scream, yell, run around." So it's feedback that's telling the thalamus to up the game or down the game. 99% of the signaling is saying, chill. Okay? Something we haven't really discussed in much detail yet is the fact that most of what's going on in the brain, once signals get up there, is inhibition. Everything that's coming into the brain is coming in at full volume. The vision you get is with the lights turned up high. The sound you get, the volume is on 99. The smells that you get would make you pass out if they weren't moderated. So this is all being moderated in there. So are we okay? Are we clear on what I would like you to pay attention to? All right? So I want you to go through that table. That table is I couldn't possibly put that table on there without it being really small. So, every one of these slides says table 7.3, page 284 and 285. These will go up there on Wednesday. Well, I want to take you to pain. Pain. We know about pain.
Sucks.
It sucks. Okay. See, I have a way of asking questions in class that on occasion I'm told you can't do that. Like the day in neuroanatomy, I said, so how many of you have actually tried cocaine? I never expected 2 students to raise their hands. So I will never ask, so how many of you enjoy pain? Because I know that's a touchy question. Pain. I think you paraphrased it nicely. Yes, we don't like pain. Your brain especially does not like pain. Why do you have pain? You don't like it, your brain doesn't like it. Why have it? Yeah.
For your own safety.
For your own safety.
You have an injured ankle. You don't want to keep walking on it, otherwise it's not going to heal, so it's painful when you do walk on it so that you can stay off of it.
Okay. Cool. I can go for that. What about psychological pain? Oh no. Is that good for you? That's not good for you. So physical pain is good for you, but psychological pain isn't. So now you've damaged your ankle, you can't play soccer. Are you having psychological pain as well as physical pain?
Yep.
Yes, you are. Oh my God, the good and the bad. Ah. Can psychological pain have physical manifestations?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is getting crazy. Enough. What's going on? This is what I like to refer to as the axis of pain. I can ramp it up in there, I can make it go away in there. Pain is important. How many of you have learned important life lessons as a result of pain? I know I have. You know? Yeah. Your reward system. You know? Sometimes, oh, okay. When I was a little kid, on occasion we got swatted or, you know, whatever, because we were misbehaving. The reward system was, if you didn't misbehave, you wouldn't get swatted. Oh, okay, I can deal with that. That's cool. You know, no pain, some gain. Yeah. Midbrain.
Is there a boy? I think you told us about the boy.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No pain or something.
Yeah. Did I post the article on the girl with no pain? I remember. No. Who wants to send me a reminder tonight? Well, I want one person. I don't want like 18 people. No? Will you send me a reminder to post the article on the girl with no pain? Thank you. I might remember spontaneously, but chances are I won't. We're going to go there, though. All right. So you have pain for good reasons. So the question is, what the heck is pain? Why do we feel pain? Yeah, but that's a psych class. We're going to stick with, I don't know, I say, come up here, we're going to try an experiment. I hold your hand down, I stick a needle in your hand. Yeah. You scream at me. Ah, Caleb, you can't do that. I say, yes, I can. It's an experiment for class.
Listen.
Bless you. No more sneezing. We got to be done. Yeah. You had pain because of receptors. You hit a receptor, that receptor fires, signal comes in, takes the signal up to your brain, where it's interpreted as pain. Okay. I like that. That's kind of cool. Signal comes in, so going up, light something up. Most of these signals right now are coming down, but this signal's going to go up. And is it going to go up the anterolateral column or the posterior column?